Well, I figured I would do the aftermath of my Camry and the wife's Buick at once. We'll go to the Buick later because I know you guys, a lot of you are interested in the Buick. But let's go to this Camry. This thing was a hunk of junk. The night before the Demolition Derby, I went to drop this thing off at a buddy's house, and it backfired so hard. It blew all the vacuum lines off the intake. It pretty much destroyed the motor. I had no idea what happened. So I was in a very bad spot with this car the night before the Derby, and it was already delivered to the Demolition Derby because my buddy lives right across the road. So the morning of the Demolition Derby, I brought 2 new coil packs, I brought a whole new intake, I brought new spark plugs, new wires, new timing belt, new crank pulley sensor. I brought a lot of new parts for this hunk of junk. So, you guys may have seen the photo that my wife put up on Zach's workshop, and it was me tearing this motor right down because I broke a couple spark plugs off. I pretty much had this thing torn right down to the block in the pits. The promoters were looking at me pretty weird, and I was trying to get this thing going. They ended up putting me into a much later heat just to try to get this thing to run because I couldn't get it to run at all. It ran, just not very good. I went into my heat. I struggled through the heat. I ended up taking the first in my heat. I was against a Honda Civic, 2 Honda Civics, well, 1 Accord, 1 Civic, and I knew I was in much better shape, so I ended up winning my heat, so I was pretty happy about that. Got my heat, my chance of the finals. There was only 3 cars in my heat, so it wasn't very bad. And then in the finals, everything went to crap. I have not seen a strut do this. Can you guys see that? You guys can't see that. Let me get the light. There, can you guys see that? The strut is straight. I just ripped the flanges off of it. All the spindle is good. Everything is good. Oh, I still have rear brakes on this. Well, I used to have rear brakes on it, not no more. So maybe I should cap those rear brakes. Anyway, I ripped the strut off the spindle. Now, it looks pretty rusty, so maybe that's something I should start looking for in the future. But I have never had a Camry do that to me before. So this thing needs 2 rear struts because both of them did this. This is this side, completely torn off. Let's go to the passenger side. Passenger side is almost torn right off as well. I've never seen a Camry do this. So I'm going to have to start looking for that. Oh, so I basically dropped both rear struts into the ground. And then it was dragging my ass. I had a hard time moving. The motor was not running right at all. It kept dying repeatedly. Nothing I did would keep this thing running. And then I took an axle shot, bent this tire over, and I was pretty much done. Not a happy camper. You know what? I tried, but have to fix it and run it again now. I'm going to probably pull this motor and throw it in the trash because it's causing me so much problems. Remove all my brand new parts back off of it and scrap it because I do not like this motor. You suck. To mention this, the guy that gave me all the decals for this car, he also gave me this shirt. Let's see if you guys can see this. And he also gave me a shirt for the wife. So thanks very much. And you're welcome for the shout out. And thank you very much for the stickers. The wife's car did great. She went out there in the heat. It stalled off the bat. We were not 100% sure why it stalled, but when it came back to life, she had power. She was laying down some great hits. She took some good hits, that's for sure. But the car overall is still straight. Rear frame is straight. Front frame is straight. What ended up taking her out was another bumper in the finals got hooked right in here and stopped her. And it's such a sandy track that she just dug a hole. But what has me confused about this car is I thought she bent a tie rod, but at further investigation, she didn't bend a tie rod. This tire's facing out, and that tire's facing in, hard. I think she broke the steering rack. So here's the plan. I want this car to run next Saturday. I want this car to run next Friday. So I want to start tearing this Buick apart, this Wbody, and figure out what is wrong with the steering. This Toyota, I need to do a motor swap. I need to do 2 rear struts. I need to do a front strut. There's a lot of work that needs to be done this Toyota, but I have all the parts to this Toyota here, so I can kind of pick away at it, and then when it comes time, I have everything here I need to. I have a couple motors. I can drop a motor in and go. But this Buick Wbody, I don't have any parts here. So I need to figure out why that's broken, if it's fixable, or if I have to replace the whole rack. Because if it's not fixable, I have to go get a new one. And I don't know where I'm going to find a new one from. So total estimated time to repair on this is 1 day. I have 4 hours to change a motor. I got maybe an hour to change out that strut because I'll be doing it while I have the motor, so 5 hours. The front end will be done. And then maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours to fix all the back. So 6 hours, this car will be ready to run again. This one here is a giant question mark. So I'd like to get the question mark off the table and figure out what is wrong and why it's done. But that's what happened to us this weekend. You know what? The Camry didn't do very well. I made it to the finals. The Buick did really well, made it to the finals. And I'm pretty sure she would have been a contender for first place, but she got hung up. And you know what happens to the best of us? She was pretty hard on herself afterwards, but I'm happy she's healthy, and I'm happy she didn't get hurt, and I'm happy she had a great time. She was a little sour afterwards, but you know what? We all get sour when we get hung up and can't win, so oh well. Thanks everybody for watching. We got to start fixing this car, and we got to start fixing this car because this one's a hunk of junk, and that one's a turd, but it's still a shiny turd. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow.